Yo, what's going down, Green Screen Entertainment fans? Your homie Jay Green back right now with yet another review. Right now, I'm about to break y'all off with my thoughts and my feelings and opinions on the brand new Will Smith film, Emancipation. Now, starring alongside Will Smith in a way is also Ben Foster, and this movie was directed by Antoine Fuqua, the same Antoine Fuqua that brought us great films like Training Day.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
Now, for all of you out there who have no idea what Emancipation is all about, this film is based on a true story about a real-life slave. It's a super famous picture that went world round and really opened everybody's eyes to the harsh realities of slavery. We're following this guy in the beginning of the movie. He's ripped away from his family during the time when Lincoln has already announced that slaves are free, but you know it's back in the day, so it takes a lot of time for news to travel. So these white boys down in the South were trying to get as much labor out of these brown boys as possible before news actually got to them. So they bring Will Smith to the camp. He's working for a couple of days or whatever it is, and he happens to overhear some of the people running the camp that, yo, Lincoln freed the slaves. So the wheels start turning in his head, and he's like, I'm about to dip. I need to get back to my family. So they stage like a little riot type situation or whatever like this. He's on the run now, and he's got to travel through this deadly swamp with all types of crazy alligators, animals, killer insects, things like this. But hot on his tail is Ben Foster's character. Now, Ben Foster is basically playing like a human hunter. It's his job, or people's job at this time, to basically be at these camps and see who's about to go on the run or who actually goes and makes a run for it, and then hunt them down, bringing them back by any means necessary.
Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. What I want out of each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, or doghouse in that area. Go get him.
Now, with all that said, the better portion of the film is Ben Foster's character chasing Will Smith's character throughout these swamplands and marshes, through all the elements and whatnot. Now, Will Smith's character needs to get to Baton Rouge, where Lincoln's army is at, as they're making their way through the South and through the country, telling people, yo, slaves are free now, so knock it the hell off. He gets there just in the nick of time, comes face to face with Ben Foster's character, but then is saved by Lincoln's army. With that, they take him in, they clean him up, patch him up, make sure it's all good. They take that famous picture with him with all the welts on his back and whatnot, so that way they can again open up America's eyes to the harsh realities of slavery. Then the main guy who was able to save Will Smith from the clutches of death takes him to the head of Lincoln's military, and he says, yo, I want to give this guy an opportunity to fight for what's right. So that dude that's heading the military says, you know what? When I see this picture of you with all these welts on your back, all I see is disobedience. And then Will Smith basically goes on his Oscar monologue, breaks it down to him like, look, man, I'm a fighter, this, that, and the other thing, right? It's a pretty fly speech. After that, the guy's like, all right, cool, you can fight. Then he goes into battle, letting everybody free, going to different villages, bringing hope to all the people. He ends up finding his family. They live in happily ever after, we would hope. Now, with that plot out the way, my general thoughts was that this movie was uneventful, lightweight, boring. Now, I know what you're thinking. God damn, Jay Green, how could you say such a thing about a movie like this based on a true story? I know. When I hear about a slave ripped away from the clutches and the warm embrace of his loving family, meant to do hard labor, finding out the truth that the white man didn't want him to hear, and then he makes a run for it only in the most deadly of terrains as possible, with Ben Foster's character, the most deadly human hunter known world round in all the land, and just barely escapes with his life, and then joins the very army that's going to fight against his very oppressor. Man, that sounds like a legitimate ass story. But you know what? I don't feel like all that excitement that I just put into what I just said was what I saw on screen. And that's just the reality of it. I honestly feel like this movie was basically Django Unchained and The Fugitive rolled into one, but without the charisma, the swag, the intrigue, the suspense. I mean, let's be realistic. I know that this man is going to survive. I'm not belittling his story and the amazement, accomplishments, and achievements that this man was able to endure and get through in order to be able to tell his story. I'm not. But why I'm saying all that is because you have to remember there's a difference between a person telling a story or reading it in a book and adapting it for a film. A film that you're creating for entertainment, for intrigue, for hope, for inspiration, for all of that jazz. And I just feel that the hope, the intrigue, the entertainment, the inspiration, the true life story, I just feel like there's other movies that have done it better. Movies that did it better. We're talking about Rosewood, The Hurricane, 12 Years a Slave, Roots the original, Roots the remake, and Selma. Now, what I mean by did it better, again, I'm not judging the story or the historical facts, but I'm just judging the adaptation to film. Do I know Will Smith's character any more than an unfortunate human being put into slavery that was ripped away from his family? No, I don't. His character could have been any one of those slaves, right? Looking at some of these other movies I mentioned, you can adapt a story and be as factually correct as possible. But again, are there going to be those ebbs and those flows, those highs and those lows that really keep us gripping the edge of our seat, even though we maybe know the end of that story, but making us wonder, how's it going to end? What's going to happen? Right? In those other movies that I mentioned, there are those moments. There are those moments where we either learn the character very, very well, or we learn the person hunting them or giving them an issue really, really well. And we can kind of, root for one or the other or the situation or however it may play out. And in movies like this, I'm looking to really engage in that person's story, because there are a lot of movies like I just listed that deal with slavery or black people being brutalized over time. And to me, I don't care who's making the film, in my personal opinion, but are you going to bring something new to that story? Are you going to give me a new element, maybe a new look at a person, place, or a time that you're telling this story? Why are you telling this story? And I just feel that these other movies give us reasons why they're telling us that story, as well as entertain us, as well as give me inspiration and hope, things of this nature. Whereas this film, I'm not sure, other than, again, that it's an amazing story alone, but who is this guy? Why is he so great? Why is he invincible? I mean, he fought an alligator and he won in the water. Alligators are pretty damn strong. But who is this guy? How many push-ups does he do? Does he do sit-ups? I mean, I don't know anything about his family other than, they go to church. I'm just saying that, I wasn't really drawn into the character aspects of them, so there wasn't really an emotional draw to this film that maybe I've gotten from other films like it before, because there was a disconnect. Now, I also want to talk about a little bit of the acting and a little bit of the directing. So I thought Antoine Fuqua, he's a great director. Not all of his movies that he comes out with hit with me, but his direction, to me, never fails. And with this, I thought his camera work and the way that he was tracking Will Smith, Ben Foster's character, and other people, the way he was showcasing this kind of slave internment camp / work camp, whatever. I thought the camera work was terrific in this film. I will say that was probably one thing that engaged me the most, was just the awe of how he's moving the camera through some of these areas and how smooth it is. I thought that was great. Will Smith's acting, phenomenal. It's Will Smith, goddammit. He finally won the Oscar that he should have won back for Pursuit of Happiness. But awesome acting from everybody. Ben Foster, to me, almost steals the show. I love Ben Foster, right? I remember the first time I saw him probably was in a movie called Hostage with Bruce Willis. It was a hidden gem for me. Me and my sister watched it for the first time. I was like, whoa, we never had any idea this movie existed. And Ben Foster was a standout in that film and every film I've ever seen him in after that. So Will Smith, Ben Foster, killed it in this movie. I'll give you that, okay? The Oscar speech, the monologue, phenomenal as well. The one problem I have, if I could say on a creative level with this film, aside from the, disconnect from the characters and things of this nature, but the one problem I had was it seemed like some scenes were straight up black and white in the daytime. Some scenes in the daytime seemed super duper desaturated, where you could barely make out yellow in the fire, oranges in the fire, maybe a red on someone's hat, or green in the brush in the trees, but everything else was black and white. But then at night, it seemed like when they were at the this prison, slave camp, whatever, work camp, it seemed like at night it was a normal night shot where there's shades of blue and green and yellow and brown, and Will Smith's skin looks normal. is very interesting to me. So I'm not sure if that was like a subconscious creative choice, maybe to desaturate it during the day when they're working, to say like their life has no vibrant color or opportunity because they're slaves. But then at night, it's kind of when they can have a bit of a slave community. I don't know, talking around the fire. So maybe I have no idea why they did it. But I will say that whenever I noticed it, it took me out of the movie. Like every single time I'm like, what is going on here? I'm very confused. So with all that said, is this movie worthy of a trip to the theater? I have no idea because it's not playing in any theaters around me, but having watched it on Apple TV, I would have to say no. You can watch this one at home. If you got a nice size TV, you'll see some of the landscape, you'll see some of that camera work I was talking about. But as far as like the movie that I thought this was going to be, it kind of missed the mark on what it could have been. Now, with all that down and out, I hope I gave you a little bit of insight to what this film was all about. Do me a favor, if you have seen it, if you are going to watch it, after you have taken it all in and kind of thought about it a little bit, comment below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if I'm spot on or if I'm spot off. Whatever, it's all good. I encourage the dialogue. Okay? Your homie, Jay Green, I'm out.